down, read it. Now myself, when I study, yeah, I read something once, some of it sinks in, I read it twice, a little more sinks in, I read it 3 times, it starts really coming to me then. And about the 4th time, because I don't have a photographic memory or anything, I'm not, it takes me 4 or 5 times to grasp it. And so, that's what you need to do. You need to read it 4 or 5, 6 times, take it where you read it, and this is your book for the next 3 weeks. And of course, take care of this book, and then when you come in and take the test, you give it back to them. But you read this book and memorize it. And everything that you see in there, we're only talking about 13 pages in this book. This is about 75 to 80% of the whole test, this book right here. This is about 75 to 80% of the whole test, right here. I'm going to give you another book, and I'm going to give you, before you leave today, it's going to cover some more material. It's going to hone in on some of the general principles of refrigeration. If you're a little weak in that area, then they'll help you hit in that area. I'm also going to give you some questions. I'm going to give you a couple of 100 questions to go and take a look at and fill out on your own. And some of them are going to be already marked. They may not be right, so you better look at the right answer. It's what the previous classes have had. And some of them they've marked all over, A, B, C, and D marked. That's what people have done. They've marked them all. They didn't know. So I took them home, looked them up in these books, and I'm going to give you that chance too. So you need to spend some time on this stuff. You need to sit down and answer every one of those questions. Make sure you understand every one of them. Understand answers to them when I give them to you. There's a sampling. There's about like a 2,000 test bank questions that they're going to come up with. And this is going to be an example of some of them. And you're going to see probably half of these questions I give you on the test, or maybe more. What I give you before you leave tonight. So when you come back in here next Wednesday, been done some homework. We're going to cover this stuff again, look at another video, and cover some of these questions on another video tape. Okay, safety's real big now on this test. Safety's real big. Let's move over here to cover some safety on page 7. Look at page 7. Each section, core, type 1, type 2, and type 3, covers, you're going to see 2 or 3 questions about safety, maybe 4. Safety's big. I mean, they're big on it. We're big on it here at the school, and hopefully your company's big on safety. Let's cover this section right here. The EPA is not only concerned with the prevention of refrigerant venting, but is also concerned with technicians' overall safety. When handling and filling refrigerant cylinders or operating recovery equipment, you should wear safety glasses, protective gloves, and follow all manufacturer safety precautions. This is particularly important when handling some of the new refrigerants where toxicity concerns exist. Always review the material safety data sheets when working with any solvents, chemicals, or refrigerants. In large quantities, refrigerants can cause suffocation because they are several times heavier than air and displace oxygen. The number 1 cause of death in refrigerant-related accidents is asphyxia, oxygen deprivation. Adequate ventilation must be provided in low areas where refrigerants may accumulate. Inhaling refrigerant vapors may cause heart irregularities and unconsciousness. If an abnormally high concentration of refrigerant should develop in a confined area, immediately vacate and ventilate the area. Only persons using and properly trained in the use of self-contained breathing apparatus, called a SCBA, should enter an enclosed area where refrigerant release has occurred. Never expose R12 or R22 to open flames or glowing hot metal surfaces. Most halogenated compounds will decompose to form hydrofluoric acid, hydrochloric acid, and when there is a source of moisture or oxygen present, phosphine gas. I guarantee you, every one of them is going to say that question. We got several different. We got about 15 different tests we hand out to you. That question's going to be on every one of them. You can count on that. These acids have a sharp, stinging effect on the nose. If these acids are detected, the area should be vacated and ventilated immediately. When leak checking the system, never pressurize the system with oxygen or compressed air. When mixed with refrigerant oil, oxygen or compressed air can cause an explosion. That's test question 2. When pressurizing this system with nitrogen, always charged through a pressure regulator, and there should be a relief valve downstream from the pressure regulator. The relief valve must not be installed in series. That's the test question. If corrosion is found in the body of a relief valve, it must be replaced. To determine the safe pressure for leak testing, check the data plate for the low side test pressure value. Refrigeration systems must be protected by a pressure relief valve. On all your new systems, you've got some pressure relief practicality on it. You've got some. I installed a 410 compressor the other day, and first time I've really seen one. But you got a little safety valve on the side of it, to where if high pressure exists, it'll blow. It'll blow, and you know, it won't kill somebody. It'll blow. You know, rather than explode, it'll blow that pressure out. But I have seen compressors blow up before, and you have too, probably if you've been in the field. They'll literally blow up. And I've seen them, and I know some of you have too. Okay. ASHRAE Standard 15 requires all equipment rooms containing equipment utilizing an A1 refrigerant, which is R11, R12, R134A, to be fitted with an oxygen deprivation sensor and alarm. Equipment rooms with equipment using B1 refrigerants must be fitted with a refrigerant sensor. Now those right there, get those down in your head. I'm going to give you a book that's going to clarify these refrigerants. And clarification, and you need to go and memorize which refrigerants are in A1 and which refrigerants are in the B1. You need to memorize those. You're going to see those again. Never energize a reciprocating compressor if the discharge service valve is closed. In other words, that's normal service procedures, but if that service valve is closed, whatever you do, don't cut it on, because you're going to blow that compressor up, and it could hurt somebody. Now, the compressor I installed, I was telling you about, it was all closed when it came into me. It was all closed. It was closed up, sealed, and then we had to open the valves before we ran it. But it was all closed up now. It sure was. So on your new equipment, a lot of your service valves come in closed. So keep that in mind too now. Okay, the following 3 chapters cover the specific information necessary for a technician to achieve a passing score in the type of certification they require. Okay, so the next 3 sections, type 1, 2, and 3, cover specifically rules, regulations pertaining to that particular certification. Let's move back over here first to page, let's go over to page 2. Go back to page 2. Okay, in the film, the Clean Air Act and Montreal Protocol, we covered that in the film. And read it again right here. Read it again right very closely. Read over it closely the next few days until next Wednesday. Down below that, it is a violation of section 608.2. Those are 10 items down there. You're going to see them again. You're going to see them. So you need to get them in your head. You're going to get them in your head. Knowingly release of CFCs while repairing appliances. Fail to reach required evacuation rate before opening or disposing of appliances. What that means exactly is if you are recovering refrigerant, then you got to go down into the required vacuums and you're going to be covered. And if you got a 10 PSIG, you can't open that system up. It's against the law though. You got to go down to the required vacuums, whatever the required vacuum is, whether it's a -10 or -15, or whatever your machine will do. Because you got different machines that go down to different levels. You got to make sure it goes down to that level before you open that machine up. Because you can't vent that refrigerant. And we do that here in the class. That's what we teach. When we go out here and recover all this refrigerant, we recover it, and we do just like it says there. And when you do that too, you'll be adhering to the law. Plus you're going to be saving some refrigerant, and you can recycle that refrigerant and use it again on that particular device. Okay, if you falsify or fail to keep required records, that's against the law. If you buy a drum of 22 Freon, you got to know where that drum of 22 Freon is going every ounce. It's got to be recorded, whether it's on a ticket, your ticket, or you got certain manuals. They got computer programs where you can keep track with it. You got to keep track of everybody over refrigerator. They'll all come one day and if you went up there to say C.C. Dixon Company and Macon and bought 10 drums of 22 Freon, which is 30-pound drum, that's 300 pound of Freon. And they allowed to come in here. I want to know where that Freon's at. A year from now. Where's it at? You know, if you got 5 on the shelf and you use 5, then you got to document where those 5 drums went to. You got to document it. That's a test question too. So this is gonna be a learning. You're gonna learn a lot as well as learn how to pass this test. Okay. All these different dates down here failed to become certified as of November 14, 1994. You're going to see that. You're going to see about 3 different dates down there. That's going to be the right date. So you need to memorize that date. Vent CFCs or 8 CFCs since July 1, 1992. Now, that's when the law came into effect. You couldn't vent them from July 1, 1992. Vent HFC refrigerant after November 15, 1995. HFC refrigerants. HFC contains hydrogen, fluorine, and carbon. Okay, an example of an HFC is the new 134A they've come out with. How many of you deal with 134A? Okay, y'all must deal with 22? Okay. Okay, you need to know about this 134A though, but that's a replacement for Freon 12. It is the replacement for Freon 12. And that's going to be on the test about 5 different times. 134A is the industry replacement for Freon 12. 134A. So you need to really remember that. Of course, release mixtures of nitrogen and refrigerant from a fully charged system while testing. Because you can't go in there and dump a bunch of refrigerant in a system and then dump some nitrogen behind it and blow it. Now you can put a shot of 22 in there and then fill it up with nitrogen up to about 150 pounds, and you can blow that. That's okay. They'll accept that. But you can't blow a full system. Okay. That part about the Montreal Protocol, that's when they all got together and said, hey, we got to do something. All these countries got together worldwide and said we need to come up with this law. And that's what the Montreal Protocol is, a landmark agreement. So that's going to be on your test. At the very top of there, you got CFC, HCFC, and HFC. Know what they all are. They're pretty much self-explanatory. CFC is chlorine, fluorine, and carbon. C being for the chlorine, F for the fluorine, and C for the carbon. HCFC, H is hydrogen. Then you got chlorine, fluorine, carbon. And HFC is hydrogen, fluorine, and carbon. 134A is the one without the chlorine. So that's very important. Understand and know those. Go and have a good differential understanding about those, because they will mix you up. Sometimes they still mix me up. Okay, page 3. You got 3 R's. 3 R's mean, and you've heard me say recover, recycle, reclaim already about 5 or 6 times. That's going to be in this test a lot too. Recover, recycle, reclaim. Know the difference. That's very important. Recover means to remove the refrigerant and capture it in an external container without purifying the refrigerant. Everything has to be recovered. Recycle is to purify used refrigerant by separating the oil from the refrigerant and removing the moisture by passing it through one or more filter dryers. And we recycle. We got a couple of machines that recycle the refrigerant, and we do a good job at it. We use it on our stuff, on our equipment, and it works good. And I enjoy it. It saves the school some money, and that's what it's all about. And we've been doing it for years. Really and truly, we won't be in this mess problem. Reclaim is to purify used refrigerant to a level equal to a new product specification as determined by chemical analysis. Reclaimed refrigerant must meet ARI standard before it can be resold. That's what we don't do. We don't reclaim it and purify it. We just use it. We got a machine that'll recycle it. We don't have anything that'll reclaim it, to purify it. And so you need to know the difference. You need to really know the difference. Recycling, y'all can do it on the job. Y'all can recover the refrigerant. If you got a machine, you can recycle it and use it in the same piece of equipment. Right. You can do that, but you can't reclaim it. unless you got what it takes. And I doubt even any of you got that. That's pretty expensive stuff. That's up in big bucks. Okay. Recovery devices, you got a whole section on that. Recovery techniques, recovery cylinders. All this stuff here is very, very important. All that stuff is very important. You got different kinds of cylinders. You got your safety devices on your cylinders. Some of them, you're not supposed to cover 80% on any of these cylinders when you're recovering your refrigerant, and because you could run into some leakage, you could run into some rupture on these cylinders. And most of them, you got a little float that it'll just cut your machine off. When it gets 80%, just cut the machine off. It's all built into the cylinder, and they're expensive. And you can buy them from Fox or Ningeldorf or some of these companies, and then buy what you need to adapt it to your particular machine. You can do that too. Let's see. Okay, up there at the top under second paragraph, after recovery on page 4, after recovery, the refrigerant may be returned to the appliance from which it was removed, or to another appliance owned by the same person. That's what I tell you what we do. You know, we own it, we use it. We take it out of one and put it in another because we own it. You can't do it to your customer. You can't go to Mr. Jones' unit, take the Freon out, and take it over to Mr. Smith's unit. You can't do that. That's against the law. If the appliance is a motor vehicle AC, then the refrigerant must be recycled or reclaimed before reuse. Recovered refrigerants may contain contaminants such as acids and moisture. Therefore, it is necessary to frequently check and change the oil and filter on a recycled machine. We do that too. We service our machine, we recycle, we change the filters on it, blow the air out of it. We follow the directions on the machines, and we blow a lot of air. Because it made a lot of air. And a lot of this stuff, you go in and recover a bunch of air in there. And you take a 50-pound drum, there's a good bit of air in that drum. Once you go 10 different pieces of equipment or 20, there's a lot of, you pick up a lot of air, so we have to blow that out. Okay. Shipping and transport has to have proper, page 5, have to have the proper DOT, which is Department of Transportation standards on it. Got to be marked, got to have the MSDS sheets, and know where it's going. That's pretty sticky stuff there, but they said it. They get you. If you hadn't got it all on there and they stopped you, they said that they could find you. If you hadn't got everything properly labeled, documented. Dehydration, page 5. Proper dehydration procedures through evacuation are important to follow. When moisture is allowed to remain in a system containing CFCs, HCFCs, the refrigerants will decompose and result, once again, in hydrochloric formation and also hydrochloric formation. Achieving a deep vacuum is a recommended method to dehydrate. It is not possible to over-evacuate a system. Achieving a deep vacuum and monitoring the vacuum level is an excellent method of determining if a leak is present. We use a little meter. Every time these guys pull a vacuum, we use a meter. It's a micron gauge. Most of you use the same thing too. When we use our vacuum, we pull down to 300 microns. Every time we pull a vacuum, we pull right down to 300 microns. If it don't pull down, we still got a leak in our system. We still got a leak in our system, and we know it. And all these guys here, I got 50 students. Every one of them knows it. They know it. Miss Linda, they'll raise their hand. Miss Linda needs some help over here on a live project. They'll be over there. So it won't pull down. Well, so you got a leak. So they might as well just quit right there. Get nitrogen. Let's go find out leak. We find every leak. And you can imagine that with all the live work we do here in the lab, refrigerators, and we work on some cars. Every car's got a leak. Every car's got a leak, literally. And they bring in here, Miss Liston, can you check our car? We got an automotive shop over here too, and they do it too. But they work on, every part of the car. And when they come over there, a lot of times they'll say, well, we kind of tired, it's going to be next week. And you know how it is, when you get ready for air conditioning in the car, you're ready for it now. And you don't want to wait next week, so they might ask us, can we check it? And we'll check it, Because if it's right in line with our program, with what we're trying to do. And Now, some of them we can fix, some of them we can't fix, because we aren't the authority on cars. But we'll check one for one of the guys, you know. The guys bring on stuff in here, and some of the people from the school. If there's something we can literally fix and check, we will. We can use the nitrogen on it, and we can find the leaks. And every one of them, I guarantee, like I said, got a leak. And then go up to them and tell them that, well, you got a leaking hose right here, and you need to get a new hose. You know, bring the parts back, or if it's something we can do. If not, then let them fix it over in automotive. You know, we can generally find out what's wrong with most anything. As long as they can bring it in to us. Okay, got to run on down the line to page 6 on your substitute oils. Look on down there, 134A is a leading candidate for CFC retrofit, but it is not a drop-in. That means you cannot, you can't just take Freon 12 out of a system, go up to a system that has 12 in it and drop 134A in it. You cannot do it. Now, you might have seen somebody that has done it before. And I know people have done it before, so, oh, it's working fine. And it might work okay, but it's against the rules and regulations of the EPA to do it. I know some people still do that. I know because they come in here before and ask me questions. Said, oh, we just dropped it on in there. We didn't know. That's why you're here today, to learn what's right and what's wrong. And so you cannot do it. You got to change. You either got to change out a couple items, change the oil out. Sometimes you got to change the compressor out. Ever what the like Ford or if it's on a car or if it's on some of these coolers out, walk-in coolers out here, wherever what the Copeland or Tecumseh recommends doing is what you're supposed to do. And to give that customer the proper service. Okay, down bottom of page 6, you got some of the blend. You got Turnair, which is a 3-part blend. You're gonna see that again. Turnair blend. You got